What's going on, everyone? Welcome to a special Inside the Birds first round draft recap featuring myself, Jeff Motion, of course, that guy right there, Adam Kaplan. The pick is in. The Eagles and the Cowboys make a trade. It's been done before. People don't realize that. It's been done before, but it's still crazy to see. And what's even crazier to see, although, I mean, he's certainly among the people we thought the Eagles might take home, DeVonta Smith from Alabama. Crazy to think that the Eagles are taking wide receivers in the first round of the NFL draft in back-to-back years. Who are these guys, Adam Kaplan?
And from Alabama. Hey, they drafted an Alabama player. So what did I read somewhere? Freddie Millens was the last player that the Eagles drafted from Alabama. How's that correct? How could that be right?
I don't know. You were in diapers, or maybe I was definitely in diapers.
Yeah, I can't believe I know Surround Stacy. But anyway, look, here's what we said in our pre-show about the receiver position. Well, what we said was, look, if they stay at 12, they didn't. But we said if they stayed at 12, it would be one of the two corners. We'll get to that in a minute. Mm-hmm. Or they'll take one of the Alabama receivers, whoever drops to them. Well, what they did was, since they saw the corners go, and we'll get into that in a second, they went with their board. I said, Jeff, in our pre-show, and I said I might regret it, and people are going to kill me on Twitter for it. If I'm wrong, I'll take it like a man. I'll take the L. I said, what I'm hearing is they're going to stick by their board. I just, you never really know with this general manager, but I'd heard he was super dial in. Mm-hmm. Just the word, the feedback I was getting is they were the staff was very confident that he knows that it's got to be done the right way, and he knows that everything has been written out there. Yeah, as you said on our show tonight earlier, you said, the Athletic wrote their article, they wrote the truth. And he didn't even deny it when he was asked about it, about not going by the board. So, look, he did. Right. DeVonta Smith was one of their top 12 players. And you got to be happy. And by the way, before we move on here, I put on our Facebook page, hey, how do y'all feel about the pick and the trade up? They loved it. I mean, I've been through 50 comments already. Well, there's one curmudgeon. What are you going to do? But look, that's what you want. Go by the damn board. This is what I keep saying. It bothers the hell out of me. But this one he did.
I've got great news for you and for people who believe in process, right? As to what you're saying. I'm told that the Eagles definitely stayed true to the board here, that this was the highest rated player on their board. Now, they traded up with Dallas at 10. I was told, and fairly strongly here, the Eagles actually tried to trade up first with Denver. Okay, they tried to get as high as Denver at 9, and at that point, Surtain and Smith were on the board. So they had an option there to really get, players that they really coveted. Obviously, we saw what happened with Denver. They took Surtain, and then the Eagles then made sure they got their guy, staying true to their board. And I have a feeling, Adam, we talked about this, that they did that instead of maybe deciding to move down because, again, they took a receiver last year. It might not have been ideal to have to take receivers back-to-back years when you have such a cornerback issue. But we talked about the perils of moving down. It's a very strange draft. Once it gets past 12 and 13, people are watching now, and some guys are going off the board that I'm not sure the Eagles felt were really that top 10, top 12 type of level talent. We said it in their draft preview show that a lot of teams only viewed maybe between 12, 13 to 16 players. I think one team told me 18 were legit first-round talent. So I think the Eagles said, we're not going to go down and collect more capital. I know that going into the draft, that was one of their scenarios that they had pondered, moving down if need be. Instead, they go and get a DeVonta Smith. And Adam, when we said this a lot, when you put DeVonta Smith on the same field with the Jalen Reagor in year 2, and you've got this new coaching staff, and hopefully they get some time to work together, and presumably Jalen Hurts as your starter, there is no excuse for this team not to have an explosive Kansas City-style offense, right?
This kid, Smith, I want to get to the corners, but this Smith, DeVonta Smith, is so skilled. I know Greg Cosell likes Waddle better, and that's fine. So a personnel director who you met at the combine with me last year texted me, and he goes, I got to give to Howie on this one. He did a good job. He goes, we really liked him. This team was not going to draft him because they didn't need a receiver. He goes, he's as high he was as high on our board as probably Phillies was. He goes, Howie hit it out of the park, and he goes, he said he absolutely should have done that because what did they give up, a 3 to move up?
Yeah, they had 3. Plus they have they give up the second, third. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, is that what it was? Remember we were saying to move from 12-9 because it's funny. We said that maybe they might trade up to Denver.
Right.
But let me get to the corner thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So in our pre-show, folks, I hope you're listening. What did I say, Jeff, about the corners?
That you didn't think that there was a chance that they would be there at 12. Both corners would be there.
I was told by a general manager as I was driving to Evil Genius, he said, hey, he goes, what do you think Philly does? I said, they're going to go for Horner Surtain. He goes, they're not getting him. I said, how do you know that? He's like, I do this for a living, dude. They're not going to get him.
Right.
He goes, I think they're going. He didn't say that it was going to be Denver. He said, I think one's going to go. He said Carolina.
Right.
And the other guy, he said, Surtain is going to go to Dallas. Well, we saw Carolina take him. Now, here's what I could tell you, and I'll add to your reporting. The extensive talks that we reported first a couple days ago, they were with Carolina. They tried to get up to Carolina.
8th overall.
8th overall. It's funny. So they tried to go to Denver.
Then they went to 9th.
Carolina. Now I'm told those talks were dead because Carolina won too much. Right. I'm told that Carolina, to start the draft, had 5 players they were targeting. They would let the Eagles know if they had it just the scenario agreement. If Howie there's a player that they wanted at 8, and Carolina didn't like who was there at 8, they trade out. But that trade was off because Carolina they were asking for a lot, and they were not going to trade out if Horner was there. That was their top-rated corner, so that was that. So look, here's what I give Howie Roseman credit for. Yes, DeVonta Smith was one of the top 12 players, but he didn't give up to get to 8 or 7 with Detroit, the kneecaps team, as you like to call them.
I was right about that. They weren't going to take a light.
Yeah, well, look, we had said, like, I know it. Pretty good source with the Lions said they were trying to move out.
Uh-huh.
Now, what I think is, I don't think they believe that Sewell would make it. I didn't either. I
did not either.
I thought he would go for sure to 5 or 6. And how about Waddle going at 6? Man, that was a slight surprise, but that tells you that they want to chase. So they went with Waddle, but. Yeah, so give the Lions credit, but let's get back to the Eagles here. Okay, so here's my first thoughts on the receiver. Travis Fulgham gets a reprieve right now. They didn't. Now, I understand that Smith and Fulgham are built differently, and Fulgham, as we reported a month ago or so, whatever the hell it was, he had ankle surgery. I'm told he's fine. I don't know if they're going to have any OTAs, but he should be practicing or doing whatever they're allowed to do if they practice. But if it's mandatory camp in June, then fine. He'll be on the field, so he should be. Anyway, now you got Rager, who you mentioned, Smith, and Fulgham. We know Fulgham's super gifted. Now he's got his maturity issues. He's got to grow up a little bit. He's a talented kid. You put Smith there, and I talked about in the pre-show and the pre-draft show about we got to start looking at these positions players. It's about matchups. Figure out a way to free this up. Greg Cosell made a great point, Jeff, about we know his build is what it is. It's a little slight, but it's you just have to make sure that you could free him up. And that's going to be the challenge for Nick Sirianni, the head coach and play caller, Kevin Patullo, his right-hand man, Aaron Moorhead. Those guys are going to be responsible for these receivers. I'm looking forward to this.
Hey, Adam, you think about some historical symmetry here. Deshaun Jackson, I believe, was drafted in 2008 in the second round. In 2007, the Eagles were a 5-8 team until winning their last 3 games to go 8-8 and kind of salvage a season. But it was pretty clear that what they had as weaponry, which was, I believe, Reggie Brown, Kevin Curtis might have been there at that point.
Kevin, good enough. Yeah, Kevin who had over 200 yards against the Lions. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
You remember the spark that Deshaun Jackson provided that offense in his rookie year. I mean, just electrifying right from the start. And this is a guy who was their second round pick that year behind Trevor Laws. Here's a good trivia answer for everybody.
Wait,
Trevor Laws first.
Yeah.
DeVonta Smith goes 10th overall. He's got the explosion and the speed that you've seen with Deshaun. He's also a great route runner. And as I said on the preview show today, I had an AFC team tell me that they looked at DeVonta Smith as a Marvin Harrison comp.
Wow.
Right? So that's pretty high. That's a Hall of Famer right there.
That's unbelievable.
8,000-yard seasons. That's a terrific wide receiver.
Wow.
This should give some Eagles fans optimism, even if you didn't want DeVonta Smith. I understand if you didn't. It should give Eagles fans some optimism, certainly, that there can be a spark here to this offense that really badly needs it and hasn't developed a wide receiver really since Deshaun and Jeremy Maclin in 08 and 09. It's been too long. They've got the right type of coaches to be able to develop them. And I have to think, Adam, that a big stamp of approval came from Jeffrey Lurie, who wants the speedy vertical offense. He wants the Kansas City offense.
Sure,
and if he presumably wants Jalen Hurts to be a starter and succeed, well, Jalen Hurts just got himself a pretty nice weapon that he's familiar with.
Yeah, just going to say they're reunited. It's a cool story. Brian Johnson, obviously, he's known Hurts for almost his whole life. So who's the quarterback's coach for the Eagles. It's a pretty cool story. We'll see. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is now the Eagles didn't, they didn't trade up for a quarterback. They didn't. And by the way, they didn't want Fields. So at least they decided they weren't going to do it. They're going to give Hurts this season. Good. I want to see this. I'm very curious. I mentioned this on our show with Greg Cosell earlier tonight. I know that I'm not Greg as an evaluator, but and Greg talked about the Arizona game. He was a little bit more critical than I was, because Greg was talking about some of the off-schedule plays that he made. Hey, listen, the NFL is not about being perfect every game. It's not going to always be the way that you drew it up. Sometimes you got to have plays off script. Those count. What are you not going to count those? So I love his toughness. That game, I remember you and I were talking during that game. They were down 20-0. Like, here we go. They're getting blown out. Arizona's going to score all over them, and he brought them back. They wound up losing, but he brought them back. That showed me something.
All right, let's just we clearly think the Eagles have done a good job here, made a smart, sensible pick, nothing crazy. Sure. Let's get into just real quick what potential downsides might be. One, his size. That is the big question with him. He's 100. He recently reportedly weighed in at 166 pounds. There's a reason why Deshaun Jackson was a second-round pick and not a first one. So that will be.
Deshaun was between 166 and 168 as a rookie, ironically.
Okay, so pretty similar there.
Yeah.
Well, at least that opened the door to say, hey, a guy can succeed. But Deshaun, as great as he is, and he may go to the Hall of Fame as a deep threat, is not a Marvin Harrison type receiver. Marvin Harrison was a volume wide receiver.
Yeah, right.
So you'll have to see what Nick Sirianni, who talked about having multiple types of X receivers and moving guys around, has his work to do to figure out a way. You can't just line DeVonta Smith up and say, go run down the field, we'll get you the ball.
No, you got to move him.
Creativity.
Absolutely. This is what Greg Cosell talked about. Their job is to move him. Rager, to me, this is the way I would. This is now. I'm not saying they're going to be heavy 11 personnel, but they should be more 11 than they were the last 2 years. Assuming they move Ertz by Sunday, which still should happen, but you never know these days if teams drop off, if they get their tight end. Eagles need to get this done. But we'll see what happens. But getting back to Rager and Fulgham and Smith, to me, I want Rager. I want Smith moved all around. Rager can play slot. He could play Z, movement Z. He could carry the football. He is so gifted. Smith, you were just talking about Sanders in the backfield. This is and Goddard, Cosell's told us for years, much better athlete than Ertz. This has got the chance to be a dynamic offense. Now the coaches, this is a new staff though. We don't know how well they coach. So It's going to be on them. But the potential, the upside here is pretty big.
All right, so the size is one concern. I won't call it an issue. We'll see how it goes. The second thing, is the Eagles did not take a cornerback. So just to recap, you and I have reported. You reported the Eagles talked to the Panthers at number 8, going up to the draft. I reported that the Eagles have talked also to the Broncos at 9 during the draft, and what they wind up doing is going to 10 because the 2 cornerbacks are gone. So do they have to take I don't know where I'm with this because I feel like you should never reach, but you got to hope that there's some good match of value to draft slot in the second round there for corner.
All right. As we speak, I do want to mention one thing. Jamin Davis just went off the board at 19. I know you have some information on this. Go ahead.
Well, look, Greg Cosell talked him up in the show that we did with him. I know that there was a thought that maybe he could be there for the Eagles in the second round. But as of, I guess, yesterday, I was hearing there's no way Jamin Davis is getting out of the first round. No way. The athleticism, the projection on him, it was just way, way too favorable for a lot of teams to think he was going to get there to 37.
Yeah, so the reason why I brought that up is Jeff and I had information on Davis that he would not make it out of the first round. And Jeff goes, first round, I think he might go in the 20s. He went at 19.
He went at 19.
1 year of production. Now, this kid's tape is phenomenal. He had 2 years of a backup, 1 year as a starter. The tape is off the charts. He went from being a late to early third-round pick, from early grades, to his tape was so good. Once teams dug into it, I know teams that, I said this when we were on with Cosell, when he mentioned it on one of our shows. I know personnel people went back to look at the tape because they weren't sure if he was as good as some of the people in their building were saying.
Right.
These guys with teams around the National Football League. So this kid's pretty darn good. Actually, I got to run. I thought my hit was at 50.
We are coming at the end anyway. That's going to be it for this Inside the Birds first round live stream. We'll be back tomorrow with another one after day 3. So make sure you're following us on @InsideBirds for more information. Have a great night, everybody.